Hello, I'm Haley Hennahan with Littlesleepersanddreamers.com, and I am your pediatric sleep consultant. Today I had the pleasure of sitting down with Stephanie Jones. She is a busy mom, entrepreneur, ex-corporate gal turned time management coach. She has successfully helped individuals improve their lifestyle, business, and health. Through proven systems and techniques, she is able to help you tweak your routine and your schedule to get more time for yourself, run your business successfully, as well as finding time to care for your home and family. Through Stephanie's education, she has been exposed to the most cutting-edge theories and has studied highly effective techniques to help you find the lifestyle that works for you. I really enjoyed everything that Stephanie had to say. She has so many great tips and tricks. She even gives a quick win that you can apply right now to help structure your home life and get that flowing better. Here's the interview. Hey there, how are you, Stephanie?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How's your morning been?
Kind of, hectic. I think it's the middle of the week, right? Wednesdays are my busiest days, but it's good.
Good. Well, I'm glad you can squeeze me in. I know there's a lot of moms out there that could use all that you have to offer. So it's awesome that you're able to do this for us.
Well, thank you for
So,
having me.
yeah. So I do want to mention that I have my 4-month-old on the floor here. So if you hear him, he's just going to be cooing probably. So,
But
yeah. All right. So let's get started. So tell everyone, what do you do and how did you make it a business?
yeah, so I help female entrepreneurs, mostly moms, with their time management, setting up systems and structures. And it's, like all of us, has kind of been a little bit of a journey. I started in corporate America when I was in my late teens, early 20s, and went on to do aviation sales, had kids really young, was divorced with 3 kids by the time I was 27. So really young mom and had to do a career shift because I was traveling half the year, went into corporate restaurant management and did that up until 2019. When I basically had a meltdown and, I had, for anybody who's been in restaurants before, it can be a lot of fun, but it's also a very toxic environment. And at that time, my youngest son was having some mental health issues and had attempted suicide twice. And my father was in and out of the hospital, and I'm his main caregiver. And my work was just not kind to that. They were trying to be, but they didn't know how to be supportive. And as a restaurant manager, even though there were a lot of us, you have very specific shifts that you need to be there and you need to be present. And I was watching randomly Facebook, and a friend had packed up her car and was driving to Laguna Beach to teach yoga. And I was like, I want to live my life right now. I want to be able to be available for my friends and family. And I don't want to be in this soul sucking job that I can't stand and I complain about all the time. And so I quit, and my son was stable, my dad was fine. Everything was like calmed down on the family end of things. And my girlfriend and I packed up to travel the U.S. for a year. We were a few months
Wow.
into that, and we were blogging and writing a book, and the pandemic hit. And so we came back to Seattle, and I knew I didn't want to go back into corporate and travel. We didn't know what that would look like for quite some time. And so I went back and got my health coaching certification and finished my nutritionist degree. It's always been really important to me. And then learned I didn't love coaching on that. I love talking about it, but I don't love coaching on it.
Mhm.
And so what I'm really good at and what my friends all come to me for is, how do you get so much done? I have, I guess I mentioned the 3 kids of my own. And at one point I had 2 step kids. So we had 5 kids in the house, and they were under 4 different parenting plans and sports. And we lived in a different city. That they went to like 4 different schools in different cities. And it was just a lot of craziness. And I learned how to take a lot of that corporate that skill set and put it into home. And so now I help other busy entrepreneurs and moms, especially over the last 2 years, really put those systems in place to have a business and not just create another job.
Wow, that's so great. I just love how it kind of just like fell into your lap through your life circumstances. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, it's exciting. I like it, and it's nice because we definitely did want to get back into travel, and with everything opening up online, it's made that's a possibility again to do that and still have meaningful work, which is nice.
Right. Very good. So, why is this so important? Why is it important to be structured? I know a lot of moms might strive for it, but why does it really need to be a priority to get their lives structured?
It's I think a lot of times when we hear structured, especially when we have a lot, really young kids, or there's not a lot of structure, the day, this schedule changes daily, right? Or at least weekly. It seems overwhelming, but really it helps us to manage our time's not managing us. And so we're not constantly being reactive to the day. And having some structure in place and being flexible with that structure is really where we can get things done, run a business, have a family, and put things into more like buckets of time and not constantly be on and hitting burnout and overwhelm.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah, I think for my type A personality, I have the structure, but I tend to put too much in too little time, and then I get overwhelmed when it doesn't all get done. So
Yep.
having a better plan would definitely be helpful for me as well. So,
That's a
so
common
can you,
problem.
yes, exactly. Can you give us like a quick tip, something that will give us a quick win? Moms are so busy and just want to like see that, there can be success if just a small tweak. So do you have like that?
Yeah, so I'll give two different ones. One is if you are really not great at like time management and you're constantly always this overwhelming feeling of so much to do, just brain dump. Take a piece of paper, get
Mm,
everything out on the piece of paper, and then go through that paper and anything that you can just let go of, cross off. Anything that you can ask for help with, whether it be you trade babysitting or maybe you have older kids and they can, put away the laundry, delegate that stuff out. And then everything else, try to put into more of like, I'm really big on blocks of either times or days of themes. So like an admin task would go into, writing an email or making a doctor appointment would be more admin stuff, and working on your business and planning out, maybe you want to do something, create some new content or something, bring something new into your business. That would be something that's like a CEO time. And then if you have clients, you have client things. And so color coding those and then putting them into a list and every day just focusing on 1 to 3. If you can do 1 to 3 of your top priorities, and that can be family, it can be business, it can be personal, you'll make progress and things will get done in a much quicker way.
awesome. Yeah, I love that. The brain dump. Like I feel like sometimes at night, that's like when I get into bed, everything from the day goes, through my mind, and especially the things that I didn't get done, and I'm like, oh, I have to remember this and that. And yeah, if I just get it on paper, I'm sure like that would help a lot.
Exactly. Yeah, just get it out of your head. Yeah.
So do you do like, would it be helpful to do different brain dumps per like, for business and then for like home life and keep it separate? Do you do it all together?
I say do it all together. I think that it's a myth that we've had to break, right? And it's still kind of being broken because there was this expectation for a long time that you go to work and you leave family at home, and you come home and you leave work. And it just, especially working at home, that's not a thing. Like it all intertwines. And we can all say like, well, the home gets left, but really like we're all making appointments at the office, right? Like we're still doing things for home. We're making a grocery list. We're thinking about how we can, run and errands on lunch or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's a whole entire life. And I say just get it all out and then start prioritizing those important things.
Awesome. Very good. So while you work with clients and they're making these changes, do you find that there's something that tends to be like the biggest roadblocker or something that they have the hardest time overcoming so that they're able to find success?
Yeah, moms have a really hard time with boundaries. We have a hard time saying no. We have a hard time stop not picking up our phone during dinner. We have a hard time being really present when we need and want to be present because we have so much going on in our head. And so that's where I encourage clients to really have that list. And if you have 15 minutes, so often like we'll be like, well, I have 15 minutes, but I don't know what to do in that 15 minutes. If you have a list and you know you can send out 3 emails in 15 minutes, do that on, maybe Mondays are your admin days. You just go down that list on that particular day. And then just like really shutting off at some point. I think the biggest struggle that specifically moms have is working until 10, 11, 12, getting up in the middle of the night and continuing to go back to work. And I always say, if you worked at a brick and mortar, would you jump up and be like, oh, I'm just going to go do this one thing? Would you get dressed and drive to work? No, you wouldn't. So it's separating that out and leaving work into a space where it's just work.
Yeah, that's so important. I know it can be so hard to have those boundaries, especially like for me being a part-time, I work part-time because I'm home with my kids all the time. And so I tell my husband like, oh yeah, I need like pockets of time here and there. But then I do find that I don't really have like set work times because I'm constantly like, oh, here's 5 minutes to do some work, and here's 5 minutes to do some work, which is helpful to my business, but then it is taking away from family time.
Yeah, it's that's something that I think I talk a lot about stages. And so if you are a mom, like you have a 4 month old, right? Your time's going to look very different than a mom who, like my kids are grown and out of the house. My time looks very different. If you have teenagers, that looks different. If they're in sports, that looks, so you have to decide what works for you. But science has proven, there's been a lot of studies over the last 2 years, well, longer than that, but specifically in the last 2 years, they've done a ton of research, and the average entrepreneur working from home really only does 3.5 to 5 productive hours in a day. So I tell moms, like, when you think about, you know, I only work part time, or I only have a few hours. That's okay as long as you're focused in that amount of time that you have. You'll still make much farther progress than somebody who's working 50 or 60 hours, but a lot of that time is scrolling Facebook or not really being productive because they don't really know what to do or have the systems in place.
Yeah, I find for myself that in the evenings, I'm like, okay, my kids are in bed, I can get things done. But that's my least productive time because I'm so tired. So I spend so long trying to get like one last task done. And I'm finding that it just ruins my evening. And I really just wait for the next day. And when, 'cause the morning, I'm a morning bird, early bird. I get up 5:30 every morning and can work for a few hours. So saving it for the next day, I know would definitely be beneficial and helpful for me.
Yeah, and I think that's also really important is knowing when your most productive time is because everybody is also different, right? In that, because we're all just individual. And so trying to not I'm the same. I'm a morning person, and by like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I can do like, I can watch a training or something that I can listen to a podcast, but I'm not going to be really productive doing things like writing content. So, yeah,
Right,
same.
exactly. Very good. So I know you kind of touched on this about juggling kids' schedules when you had 5 kids in your house. So how did you come about that, and what tips do you have for moms who have their work schedule, their home cleaning schedule, all the different kids' schedules? What can you
Yeah.
share about that?
So the first thing I say is, color coding is huge, and if you don't love color coding or you're not a very type A personality, find a system that works. I went as far as so we had ranges. Originally, they were from 1 all the way to 16, and then obviously like progressed, and the older child moved out, and but I even went as far as to all color code their own stuff. So they all had, I just went to IKEA, right, and got like primary colors that they each had their own color of like plate, spoon, cup, towel, because I got so tired of it was also a house full of boys. There's only one girl that makes. And there was so much like, that's not my towel. That's not my dish. It's not my night to do the dishes. And it's just like, nope, we're color coding everything and you're responsible for your own stuff. And so obviously that's not appropriate for a 1-year-old, but the older kids can do that. And letting it go. I mean, when I was much younger mom, I was really adamant that, the towels have to be folded a certain way. And at some point, just, done is better than perfect. and that's okay. But really trying to color code those schedules. So for now, what I do, because I still spend a lot of time with my kids. So all of my personal stuff is purple, but then everything that's family related or like date night and those types of things are red. And so that red is because I want, part of the reason I want to work from home is to have that time, right? And so I want to hold that really sacred, and having a color that's like big stop, like this is important time, and not ever allowing anything to creep into that time is really helpful. And at the end of the day, honestly, if we can put our family and our relationships first and our own self-care, all of the other things are going to get done, right? Like we're going to make sure that they get done. And if they don't, they just aren't that important. And that's also okay.
Yeah, I think that's so important to have moms hear. Is like, not everything needs to be done and not everything needs to be done perfectly. I feel like moms put so much pressure on themselves,
Yep.
get everything done and everything done well. And it's like, is that really important, or is it more important to have that quality time with your kids, or, do something in your business that, gets to a sale, or things like that, that actually moves the needle.
Exactly.
Um,
I was talking to a friend, and she, Valentine's Day is coming up, right? And like we as moms all want to do that Pinterest worthy, perfect bag for the Valentine's for the class. The kids don't care. Like,
right.
let that go. Like we just need to let that go. We need to let the judgment go and know that we're all in this together. It's hard. It's hard to be a mom. So
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of which, this kind of segues right into the next question, where moms kind of have everything on their shoulders. They're more in charge of the kids, depending on the household, but for the most part, they're more in charge of the kids and those routines
yeah.
and schedules on top of everything that they have going on. So how can like a husband or another support person kind of help mom in that area?
So I think that's a great question, and the same thing with they were talking a lot about the invisible workload, which is the whole entire, just everything you just said, the whole secondary, keeping the house organized and clean and stocked and food and doctor's appointments and all of that is huge. And typically, women do take that on at the majority of the time. So I think having a really honest conversation is important. And unfortunately, it may fall on us as women to have that conversation. But just having that conversation around these are all of the things and trying to divide it out. Also, moms have to let go a little bit. Oftentimes we want to do all of those things because we know we'll do it right and we'll do it in the way that we want it done.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's okay that it's not done that way, and if you have older kids, again, and older, like 5 and up, right? Like a 5-year-old can put their clothes in their drawer. They can get themselves dressed. Maybe it doesn't look exactly the way you want it to. Maybe you have one afternoon where you meal prep and you cut up snacks and everything goes into baggies and that stays in the fridge and kids can grab their own snacks. So those are things that you can involve the kids in. You can do it as a family activity. The partner, husband can be involved in that. But just those honest conversations of this is what I need help with, and asking for that help. We
That's
need to
great.
normalize asking for help.
I know for sure. It's so hard to do.
Hmm.
Yeah, you make some great points. I love that you say involve the kids, because I feel like there's so many kids these days that it's like, oh, mom does it, dad does it, whatever, where they can be helpful, they can be involved. And my 2-year-old, he's only 2, but he loves helping. He does laundry, he helps with dishes.
Yeah.
Yes, things take longer, but he's learning these skills and he's loving that he can be a part of it. So that's great to include the kids as well.
Well, and that's such a valid point too, right? You're teaching them skills for when they go out on their own, and then you're also showing them that it does take a village to raise a child, right? And it takes the whole house jumping in. Otherwise, it's basically you're working so much and it's just it's not healthy and it's not good for our mental health or our physical health. So
Right, very good. So, with everyone that you've been working with, can you share like a success story of where someone started out where, things weren't going well and how you helped to meet goals?
yeah, there's so many, but the two that really come to mind are I have one mom that she has two kids. One is a stepchild and one's hers, and so same thing, like different parenting plans and schedules and activities in different schools. And she lives somewhere where everything is 20 to 45 minutes away without traffic. And she's a brand photographer, and so she was going into she was running out of time. She thought, she was like, I just have too many clients. And we went through her schedule and she was driving to the same area, the same basic strip mall, three different times in a week, which was taking her 45 minutes one way each day
Oh, wow.
to drive to do these photo shoots. And I was like, why don't you back those up into one day? And she said, oh, I've just never thought about it. And so I think sometimes we're so in it that we can't pull ourselves out and look at that bigger picture. And so just by moving that around saved her 3 hours just in driving time alone. Not to mention all that, when you're there and you have a specific like 2 hour block of time, you're doing your work faster. And then I have another client that Adrienne, and she's a stay-at-home mom. She is an MLM. She's also a photographer. Her husband has a woodworking business. He works outside the home, and she helps direct the homeschool that she is part of. And so she's super busy. And for her, we've set systems in place. And so hers is she has to do the things in the pockets of time, and also stopping with the what you think you should do, right? We look at these people who have big teams who've been in business for 12 years and we say, well, I need to do all of those things. Do you? Or can you do one video a week? Do you need to do a video every day? Can you put out a newsletter a month? Like train your audience so you don't burn out. And we switched some of those things for her. So now she takes, 1 hour during nap time. She records all of her videos, and the next day she'll edit her videos, and the next day she'll schedule them. But she gets 1 month's worth of videos now instead of having to do that. Well, I have 5 minutes. I'm gonna jump on and do a quick 5 minute video, and it just feels better when it's a little bit more planned.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love how you said, get a different set of eyes, different perspective, because it can be so hard when we're in it, trying to find solution to things or not
Yeah.
realizing that something could be a problem. She might not even realize like, oh, this is taking up so much time. I can reduce it this way.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the first thing I do with clients is we'll talk about kind of how the system works, and then we go through a time tracker, which is tedious, but that's really and the best way is to get a second set of eyes is to, and it's also a self-awareness of knowing exactly where your time's going. Are you, how are you spending your time, and where are you wasting time, and where are things that you can put together where you're doing like things together, and so you're not 5 minutes at this doctor appointment and then trying to do a video and then trying to take a client call. Like, how can you put those things into bigger buckets of time and do them together? So
That's awesome. Very good. So when you do take on a client, like what kind of is your process of working with them? What do you offer in that regard?
yeah, so at the end of last year, I have a digital course that is a 90-day course, and at the end of last year, it really became my mission to really help female entrepreneurs, especially moms, for an affordable price. So I took on a business partner and we set up a VIP coaching membership. And so currently you come in and you go into the membership, and the membership is $67 a month with no contract. And you get once a month coaching with me. We do small group coaching. We bring in guest speakers. We do networking events. And then every month has a theme. So like this month is keeping passion alive in your business, and also about American heart health because this is Heart Health Awareness Month. And so I still bring in the nutrition and the wellness, and then early access to anything. So we're rebuilding some of those courses so it's not such a big course, and it can be more tailored to somebody if all you need is time management or if you only want meal plans. So that's the main thing that we're focusing on right now is the membership.
Awesome. I love that. Great. So if, this hits home with someone and they want to connect with you, where can they find you?
So it's structuredandco.com, and everything's on the website for the courses, the freebies. We have at-home day night ebooks and recipes and all kinds of fun things. And then Facebook, Stephanie Jones of Structured and Co. Hi, so
Getting
cute.
excited about it. Is he your next client?
And then I have an open Facebook group it's currently stressed to structured. It is changing. We went through a big rebrand, so we're moving everything to Structured and Co. But that's one of those two places.
Awesome. I'll be sure to add that in the description box so people can find that as well.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for giving up your time to be interviewed. I know that this is such a unique but also very needed field that you're in.
Yeah.
I feel like they don't make it the priority, and when they realize that it should be, so many problems just go away because there's a flow. So
Yes.
um,
Well, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it. So cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got your next entrepreneur there.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, take care. Have a good day.
Thank you too.
All right. Bye.